So, a lot of you know that I did work in corporate publishing before I started my business. I was an acquisitions editor for almost 10 years at Grand Central Publishing, and then I worked at a smaller independent publisher, Sam Hain Publishing, for about 2 years, worked on all subgenres of romance, and managed their team of editors.
Check this out.
Unfortunately, in February of 2016, I was laid off. I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I was trying to figure out what in the world am I about to do. This was pre-COVID, so corporate publishers and publishing companies, they weren't really hiring people remote. So I really had to figure out what it was I was going to do. And I did not waste time. I got right on social media, Facebook to be exact, and I announced to everyone that same day, hey guys, I'm no longer working at this particular company, and I am now offering freelance services. I went on a bunch of different Facebook groups, and I let people know that I was editing, consulting, whatever it is that I was offering. I made sure I kept my ear to the wire, and anytime I saw somebody make a post like, hey y'all, I'm looking for blah, 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 I made sure my name was on there. Now, it was scary because I really didn't know what I was doing, but one of the most important things that you should do as an entrepreneur, whether in publishing or anything else, is align yourself with other people who have a business like the one that you're trying to create. Why? Because those editors already had structures in place. They had contracts, they had consultation prices, editing prices, and really just learning from them, not just in terms of how to structure my business, but even just the pros and cons, things that they did well, hard things that they learned. And I took all of that in and applied it to my own business. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't hit bumps on the road. I still hit bumps along the way, but it's all a learning experience. And I think in anything in life, growth is what you want. Mistakes are going to happen. Hardships are going to happen. You're going to have good days and bad days, good relationships, and things that you probably feel like you could have done better, but it's all about growth. It's all about learning the things you did do well, doing more of that. And no one is an expert. Even after 20 plus years in the business, I'm not an expert. I know what I know, but I can always learn more. Please network. Please talk to other people. We do not live and work in a bubble, and you just don't know what kind of invaluable information you can find out from someone else just by listening and learning and being willing to grow. And so I continued to go to conferences. I put myself out there. I ordered some business cards. Nowadays, you can do digital business cards, but at that time, I went right on Vistaprint and I ordered a super cheap business card because I had conferences and book events that I was already signed up for. And so I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'm no longer associated with this publisher, but are you okay with me coming? They were like, absolutely. Just because you're not with that publisher anymore doesn't mean that you don't have things to share, words of wisdom. I started teaching and through different events and meeting up with different people and being presented with different opportunities, I was able to expand my business, not just in developmental editing, but consulting, teaching workshops, and then eventually becoming a literary agent and now a ghostwriter. So every time I learn something new, I try to think, how could I monetize this? How could I make this work for myself and what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to grow? A lot of you saw my video on how I've had to pivot even recently and no longer offering agenting services, but kind of going back into editing, consulting, ghostwriting, because that's what works with my schedule now. So also as entrepreneurs, you have to be flexible. You have to be willing to pivot. If something isn't working, you are responsible for every dollar you make. And so you have to really make good use of your time. And, that is something that is going to come along the way with growing pains, bumps, and bruises. Get yourself a good bookkeeper. If you do not know how to handle your taxes or getting that EIN number or setting up that business bank account, find someone who does, okay? Because I can't tell you how many small businesses I know that went under because they weren't paying their taxes. Trademarking their material, getting that LLC, getting that bank account, understanding what all those pieces mean and how they apply to you and your growth. When I first started my business, it was just me and, I wasn't really taking money out of each payment I was making, I was waiting till the end of the year. That was a little overwhelming for me. And so now I take tax money out of everything I make. But that was after, hitting a couple of bumps and talking to an accountant, talking to an attorney, and understanding, okay, you need to have these type of business accounts set up so that no one can sue you, or so that you don't feel uncomfortable sharing statements if someone audits you. I mean, all of these things are super, super important. So get yourself a financial advisor and make sure that you are handling the financial portion of your business just as much as you are with the actual structure of your business. In addition to me putting myself out there, I had thankfully a lot of author, editor, agent friends, publisher friends who was putting my name, out there for different jobs, different assignments. And that's another thing that's super important as an entrepreneur. Your name is everything. And so do business well, do it the right way. Don't try to jerk people, don't try to take the shortcuts, because all you have is your name, and you do not want your name to be associated with not so good things, because that's really going to harm your financial potential. So I hope that you found this video useful. I want to give a shout out to Sherry Reads and Writes for requesting this video on how I got started. I hope this answered all the questions that you had about starting your own consulting or editing business. If there are any other questions that you all would like to ask me, or any topics you want me to cover, please drop it in the comments below. I'm so happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching.